This episode of The Gaming Outsider is brought to you by eWin Racing, the home of the best heavy-duty gaming chairs. I can tell you from personal experience that I've never sat in a more comfortable chair at my desk. eWin Racing has chairs for gamers of all sizes, too. As a Gaming Outsider listener, you can get 20% off your purchase using our promo code TGO at ewinracing.com. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there.
What's up, everyone? My name is Tara Platt, and you might recognize me from Persona, where I play Mitsuru. You're listening to Scott Clark and The Gaming Outsider.
What's up, Gaming Outsiders? On this week's episode, it's just Alyssa and I, and we are answering questions from our amazing community. In news, there's a lot of unfortunate layoffs, and Jim Ryan is retiring after 28 years with Sony. New games discussed include an 8-bit nostalgic-looking game called Project Blue, and David Newman stops by to talk about his time with a game called Mythforce. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It is Sunday, October 1st. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me is my very good friend, the lovely Alyssa White. How you doing, Alyssa?
I'm okay. Doing better now. I'm sorry that you're stuck with the only pretty person.
Hey,
the other two are going to hate me for saying that. I'm sorry.
I really don't think they are, but yeah, if you can't tell, both Zach and CB are not here. CB is working, and Zach is feeling a little under the weather, so it's just going to be Alyssa and I. I think we've done this one time before.
Yeah, once before. Usually you want to throw someone else in with us, and I'm like, what's wrong with me, Scott? What's wrong with me?
There's nothing wrong with you, Alyssa.
Yeah, there is, actually.
Can you believe that we are 2 weeks away from the big day, R2V2?
I know, and I won't be there.
Oh no, you're not going to be there?
No, I'm heartbroken. Just been having some mental health problems and don't think I can handle it, especially with being autistic. It's a lot.
It's a bummer. I was really looking forward to meeting you in person.
I was so excited to meet all of you and to give hugs to the community and talk to people, and yeah, I'm really bummed.
Well, that's about 200 ticket sales that we're not going to get now, but
I doubt that.
No, it's a bummer you're not going to be there, but
yeah.
Hey, you got to take care of yourself, and I understand it. But you're going to miss out because, as I've been mentioning for weeks now, John St. John's going to be there, the voice of Duke Nukem, but I was able to wrangle in another special guest. If you guys remember, a while back, I got to interview Roger Sharp, the guy who saved pinball. There's actually a movie about it.
The movie's great, by the way.
Yeah, Roger said that he is going to be able to come to the show and hang out. So, and then we're going to have a couple pinball tables there as well too. So, if you'd like to meet a legend in my world, I know not everybody's into pinball, but what he did for gaming in general from a pinball aspect is huge, and I would love for everybody to get to meet him. So, mark those calendars. R2V2 2023, October 14th. If you want to pre-purchase tickets, you can do so at thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2. I'm so excited. I can't even express how much work is going into doing this. I am constantly busy.
I mean, I've seen pictures you've posted and heard you talk about, but I know you've done so much more than what has been shown and what you've spoken about. Like, I'm amazed at how hard you've been working at this, Scott. Like, I'm truly proud of you.
Well, thank you very much. You just don't realize how much little things there are to do. Purchasing raffle prizes, which kudos to CB's wife, Rose, for putting all that together. I just was the one that pulled the trigger and actually made the purchases. But I mean, like, I have to order a stamp with our logo on it for people to put on their hand when they come in the door. I've got to, clean the facility. I've got to order sodas and water that we can have for people to purchase, to have something to drink on site. There's just so many little things that just keep piling up.
That you don't think about until you're in the thick of it.
Exactly. But again, I shout him out every week. But Jacob Gunderson has been down there every time I've been down there, just working his tail off, and I really appreciate all the work he's doing. So hopefully everybody will be there. I really am looking forward to meeting a lot of people for the first time that I haven't. Brandon Smith is going to be there showing off his Final Fantasy Renaissance game. There's going to be a lot of vendors selling video games. Aaron Hughes is going to be having Guitar Hero for everybody to play, including VR. And I'm talking like the really fancy, expensive VR rig.
Oh, wow.
CB's going to have his video game museum there. if you've ever been to CB's basement, he's got quite a collection, and he's got a lot of really awesome stuff to show off. So really hope you guys can make it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I want to talk about the games that we've been catching up on. Alyssa, what have you been playing?
I've played quite a bit. I did beat the Resident Evil 4 DLC Separate Ways.
Nice. Worth it?
In my opinion, yes. It's only $10, and it took me about 4.5 hours to complete.
Oh, nice.
I loved it. Again, I didn't get to play that part of the game in the original release because I never got to play the original version.
Oh, you never played like the GameCube?
Oh,
or
no.
PS2?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
So
okay.
This version of Resident Evil 4 was the only one I got to play. So I had zero knowledge about this, which I think Zach said last week, this doesn't completely hew to the original storyline. I could be mistaken.
You mean the DLC or the game itself?
With the DLC.
Oh, okay.
But it's such a cool experience to play as Ada and just see things from her point of view, and I think that's worth it just by itself. And I mean, 4-hour DLC it's a good addition.
There you go. I'm envious. I'll get to mine in a second, but so are you digging Resident Evil 4?
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah.
It's I'm gonna call it now. It's gonna be in my top 10 of the year.
Nice. Resident Evil 4 has a very special place in my heart. That was a pass the controller game with a buddy of mine back in the day, which was a lot of fun. So, anything else?
I'm still playing Starfield. Just every other day or so, I'll just jump in and do a few missions. I've barely touched the main quest. I keep doing side quests, which I know some people are like, you need to rush the main quest, or whatever. But I like just to do my own thing, and I kind of just whatever gets my attention at that moment. I'm just gonna go do it. But yeah, I haven't touched the main quest. I'm still trying to woo Sam Coe, which he was like, I need to talk to you. So I started talking to him, and then an alien attack happened while I was talking to him. But I'm like, you know what? Romance is more important than this alien attack right now.
Wait, there's aliens in Starfield confirmed?
Well, I won't say they're aliens. They're enemies in the game. I guess I shouldn't say aliens. They're an extraterrestrial creature, but I shouldn't call them aliens. They're they're a kind of monsters. But this attack's going on in the background, and Sam's just talking to me about his ex-wife and what he thinks about me.
Make out with you.
And I'm like pushing the flirt option while people are like screaming in the background, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have recorded that.
I was gonna say, please tell me you recorded that.
No, I don't have the technology, but yeah, it was so funny. But like, I gotta work on Sam Coe. I'm sorry, people. I'll get to you when this exchange is over.
As soon as it's done, we're going on a date.
Well, he's also a single dad, so I have to get in good graces with his daughter.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, it's a whole thing just to romance someone in Starfield.
I haven't touched that game since the initial launch, so I've got so much catching up to do.
I mean, I think I'm only about 14 hours in, which I'm only 14 hours in the other game I've played as well, Sea of Stars, but that's probably around the halfway mark.
Nice.
Maybe
I saw. Did you see that Zach found the shrine?
He did, yeah. I saw in our text exchange, he asked you for the number, you found it, and
I didn't realize there was a number. Yeah. They sent that thing like
in
2 years ago. Yeah.
I noticed, yeah. Because when I went to the crypt, I noticed the crypt keeper, and your brilliant joke from the other week that I just completely talked through. He's like, if you have the number, you can go to a specific grave. I'm like, Scott didn't give me a number. So I went through like 6 floors, couldn't find it, found a bunch of random tombstones, and apparently there were over 10,000 tombstones.
Yeah.
So that would have taken a very long time.
Oh, for sure. I had no idea that there was. I mean, I should have assumed there was that many with how many people backed this game, but
and also, I mean, it was 2 years ago you got that email, so it would have been hard to remember that. And
I did not remember. Yeah. Zach texted me and said, "Hey, do you have the code for this?" And I just did a search in my emails for the Kickstarter, and 2021, I got an email with a code, and he was able to find it. So
he sent a picture to us, and it was cute.
I'll have to post it on Facebook.
Yeah, you should,
or all the socials, just so people can see it. But the Gaming Outsider is in a video game. That's kind of cool. So I have not been able to catch up on anything. Like I mentioned, I am so busy, and I swear I am busy with school and R2V2. That's all my life is right now. I go to school, I leave school, I go to the club, and I work. Or or I'm DJing. I did a homecoming dance this weekend, so constantly busy. I think I've had my Xbox on for 2 hours this month, which might be a record for me. So I'm being so hypocritical right now because I hate it when I listen to video game podcasts and people are saying, I just didn't have any time to play any games this week. At least my reason is Gaming Outsider related. So I have that going for me. I'm going to tell you though, as soon as this thing is over, my favorite word after October 14th for a while is going to be no. Hey, Scott, would you like no? No.
Yep.
Because I have so much games to catch up on. You mentioned Resident Evil 4, Starfield, Sea of Stars. How many games have I missed this year? I didn't play Hogwarts Legacy enough.
Oh, I haven't played that one either.
I really want to play Alan Wake, but I don't think I'm going to have time to finish Alan Wake 1 before Alan Wake 2 comes out, so I'm debating skipping the remake and just jumping into 2 and just watching like a YouTube video or something on the story because I don't remember. I played that game at launch, beat it the week it came out.
I didn't play it at launch, but I played it when the Xbox 360 was the only Xbox console on the market at that time. Like, the Xbox One wasn't a thing yet. So it's been a while for me as well.
Yeah, so I definitely need a refresher, and I was hoping to get through the game. He said it was only...
About 12 hours?
Like 12 hours, which is completely doable. I suppose I could do it. Anytime I sit down to play a game, I played with a community, right, for a couple hours.
Yeah. And
that was fun because it felt like I was doing something, constructive and hanging out with people that I don't get to hang out with too often. And, but anytime I just play for myself, I feel guilty because I could be getting something else done, marketing wise or just getting this and that. I didn't tell you, we are blocking off the street in front of the Lyran. I actually have to getting a permit with the city of Rockford so we can have our food trucks parked right in front of the Lyran Club. Working on getting a radio station to come do a remote. So it just, it's going to be a really cool thing, and hopefully that'll attract some attention and people will be excited to come see it. But
that does sound really cool.
Yeah.
I'm still sad I can't go.
We'll send pictures.
I have to meet you guys at some point.
And you already bought your shirt. I'm going to have to send you your shirt.
Send me my shirt.
Yeah, I will definitely send you your shirt. I was waiting for them all to get paid for so we can... I don't have to make more than one trip, but I will definitely get you your shirt because we all got those matching...
Yeah.
For people that weren't at R2V2 last time, we all have these matching bowling shirts that have like the signature of name on the one lapel and Gaming Outside on the other side.
I was like, I gotta look cool like everyone else.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you one. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. What do you say?
Sure.
Real quick, I want to do an update on last week's sponsor read. I told you guys about Jacob Gunderson, mentioned his name already. He's a huge contributor to the Gaming Outsider. Not only does he write for us, not only is he busting his tail helping me down at the Lyran Club, but he has also created these bags for people to be able to carry their purchases in at R2V2. And on top of that, he's a realtor. And he works for a company called the Maurer Group. And the company is also referred to as Exit Realty Redefined. And Jacob is awesome. Like CB mentioned last week, he helped him sell his house, helped him purchase his new house. He is an expert when it comes to getting into a new location to live or selling the place you're at. If you want or need any help, please reach out to him. His number is area code 815-621-4780, and he will be happy to help you out. Again, his name is Jacob Gunderson. Moving on to this week's news, Epic Games is laying off 16% of its workforce. Jim Ryan retires as president and CEO of Sony Interactive. We got some PlayStation Plus freebies for the month of October, and that's about all I could find. Compared to last week, it was a bit slower week. There's a lot of things going on. But where do you want to start, Alyssa?
We'll just start with Jim Ryan retiring as the president and CEO of Sony Interactive. Mm-hmm. He's been with the company for 28 years. He started in 1994 with Sony Europe, and he took the head job in 2019. He officially retires in March of 2024, and he is quoted as saying, "After 30 years, I have made the decision to retire from Sony Interactive Entertainment in March 2024. I've relished the opportunity to have a job I love in a very special company, working with great people and incredible partners. But I found it increasingly difficult to reconcile living in Europe and working in North America. I will leave having been privileged to work on products that have touched millions of lives across the world. PlayStation will always be part of my life, and I feel more optimistic than ever about the future of Sony Interactive Entertainment. And the COO, Hiroki Totoki, will assume the role of Sony Interactive Entertainment chairman this month and take the interim CEO role starting April 1st of next year.
Mm-hmm. I have mixed feelings. This is one of those stories where I wish Zach were here.
I know.
Sometimes
I feel like he'd be so fired up about this story.
Right. I feel like he'd be very fired up, especially with the other story that we're going to talk about going on as well. Because we know how Zach feels about corporate America and all that, but I don't know. I don't have a ton of ill will towards Ryan. I feel like Zach's finger is on the pulse of what he's done and what he hasn't done. With for the company, we speak negatively about Sony a lot here. Not because I have a PlayStation. You know what I mean? It's not because
I grew up on PlayStation, but just some of the business choices they've made.
More recently.
Yeah,
they've been the top dog for quite a while, and it just seems like they're making decisions that don't feel gamer focused, and it's unfortunate. But he's been with the company 30 years, not 30 years, but
almost. I mean,
almost 30 years. That's a long time to be with a single company. I don't know how I feel about this. He lives in Europe but works in North America. I don't feel sorry for you there, man. I
mean, yeah, if you could live in Europe, and I'm assuming he gets to travel probably free of charge.
Yeah,
he probably works remotely most of the time.
I'm sorry you got to sit on a plane and do some work instead of just sitting in an office. Okay, I mean, I understand traveling can be taxing, but that's a choice you've made, man. You've just decided to live in your. I don't know, that part just kind of. But it's still a huge deal. I don't know what that's going to mean for the future of Sony. If Totoki is going to, follow in his footsteps and make some of these same business decisions, or even if he's going to be the guy. He's just the interim.
Yeah, they could hire someone completely different.
Right, because somebody could be running the company completely different by the time March 2024 rolls around. So, and that's quite a big jump to announce a retirement. I mean, that's
preparing
October,
people
November,
way ahead of time.
That's like half a year before there. Must be nice to be able to do that and say, "Hey guys, I'm not going to give a 2 weeks notice. I'm going to give a 6-month notice." And
so you can prepare to miss me.
Most companies would be like, I don't know. So I know some businesses, like just for peons like me, you give it 2 weeks notice and they say, "No, you know what? Go ahead and go." So I don't know. I feel like people that make as much money as Jim Ryan does live in a completely different world than the rest of us do. I think they don't understand what it's like to be us, and we don't understand what it's like to be them. And again, Zach really wishes he were in this conversation right now.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
I can feel his ears burning right now.
I don't have the same fiery passion as he does about this kind of topic.
I don't either. I'm not anti-corporate America, but I do get frustrated with a lot of decisions that are made in corporate America in terms of when companies can make people that don't make a lot of money lose their jobs, and then they, for some reason, get to keep their jobs. But, we'll talk about it. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah.
Because Epic Games is losing a whole bunch of employees this week. Epic Games. We're not talking about some indie company here.
This is a huge company.
Epic Games. 830 employees are losing their jobs. They're blaming unrealistic spending, which doesn't sound like it's the employees' fault that there's unrealistic spending. CEO Tim Sweeney said, quote, "I have long been optimistic that we could power through this transition without layoffs, but in retrospect, I see that this was unrealistic." They are offering severance packages to all of the employees. They're getting 6 months of base pay, some accelerated stock vesting, and other benefits. It always cracks me up when they offer stock in the company to employees that are leaving. Like, wouldn't that be the last thing you would want, is stock in the company that like said you weren't good enough to work for them anymore?
Probably. It kind of feels like a slap in the face.
I mean, I get it. If the company does well, you're going to make money, but I don't know. These are the kinds of things that frustrate me, because none of these people are going to take pay cuts. And like Zach probably would say, when this, pays off and he's rewarded for saving the company all this money and he gets an increase, that just feels gross.
It does.
Wasn't there a story where was it Iwata back in the day?
Yes.
Where
cut his pay in half so his employees wouldn't have to take a pay cut.
Yeah. Like nobody ever does that anymore. I don't know. And I just feel terrible. I mean, 6 months of base pay is a good amount of time. That is I don't know how hard it is to get a job in the games industry, but considering everybody wants to make games right now, it can't be easy, especially with 830, and that's a lot of people looking for jobs.
Yeah.
So, and who knows how many of them are going to stay in the games industry? How many are going to?
I'm sure some will probably migrate to different. Maybe they'll stay in the same field they're in, but not gaming. Maybe a different area.
I sometimes forget that not everybody that works on games are as into games as we are. You know what I mean? There are some people that their job is just to do some kind of graphical design or story or something. Or they might just
be marketing.
Something completely not really directly related to video games. And there's, so that opens up the possibilities for them at the same time. But, clearly this kind of stuff happens all the time, but you hate to see it in our favorite hobby. And hopefully those people will be able to find something else in the near future. So wish I could help you out, but I don't have any jobs for it. Unless you want to come do volunteer work for the Go for no money. Just saying, we got some bathrooms that need to be cleaned. I got some drywall that needs to be installed, maybe some ceiling tiles if you want to do that. But I will pay you exactly $0 because that's what I'm paying myself.
Selling point.
I know. No, I'm just saying. Also, just a quick note: PlayStation Plus is getting some new games in October. This is awesome, but also kind of sad. The Callisto Protocol is already coming to PlayStation Plus freebies. I know I wasn't high on that game as like CB and Zach were, but I wasn't happy to see that game flop like it did, and the fact that it's already going to a premium service like this is kind of a bummer. So, also Weird West and Farming Simulator 22. Nothing like playing a year-old Farming Simulator when 23. I don't know. I'm not into the Farming Simulator. I have a student or former student that is obsessed with these Farming Simulator games.
Are they just relaxing for the student to play?
I don't know. That's the thing is you wouldn't think that a game that looks like Farming Simulator, which doesn't seem very intensive in terms of Twitch gameplay, it looks like a simulation game where you just kind of. I'm not downplaying the game. I know there's a lot more to it than just driving a tractor. There's a lot of managing a farm and all that kind of stuff. That just doesn't seem like a type of game that a 9 or 10-year-old kid would like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't picture a kid playing it, but there's an audience for everything. Everyone, everything.
Yeah, totally. So that's pretty much it for the news. I could not find anything else very interesting to talk about, which isn't a bad thing. We can just go ahead
sure.
and move on. I want to remind everybody about Patreon. If you'd like to help support the gaming outside, if you like what we do really appreciate any support you can give. We do not spend any of the money on ourselves. All of the money that we get from Patreon goes towards paying for the costs of running the show, our website, the hosting fees, all that good stuff. And then anything that we have left over, we purchase games to review and then give them away to the community, which reminds me, I did not do one for the month of September. So I'm going to have to go down to the old GameStop and pick up a game. Or maybe I'll just get a gift card for somebody and just do that. Maybe I'll just do a drawing and say, pick your platform of choice and I'll get you a gift card. So maybe that's what we'll do. But we are going to get back in the swing of things in October. I know I said I would be saying no a lot after October 14th, but I will be doing quite a few Patreon episodes following R2V2. So we got that trade-off episode with Kevin and I, Streets of Rage 2, Marvel Land, Sunset Riders, and DuckTales. I'm actually genuinely looking forward to hearing Kevin's response to playing DuckTales and Sunset Riders for the first time. Those are two of my favorite games from my childhood. He actually gave me some information when we went to a concert last week about an experience he had with DuckTales that is going to be a hilarious story to tell I can't wait to talk about that. But and then we were talking before this episode that we haven't done a Peace of Mind episode in a while.
Yeah, we haven't.
So we need to do one of those. That, if you're not familiar with our Patreon episodes, Peace of Mind is where Zach, Alyssa, and I come to the table, each of us bringing a topic that is not video game related, and we just kind of have fun little conversations. We decided to do this because we found that we had some really fun, interesting conversations the 20 minutes before we started recording episodes.
And after we record as well.
And after. A lot of, sometimes it gets a little PG-13.
I would say it probably goes further than that.
Yeah, probably a little further than that. So, stuff that we can't talk about on the show, but some of our listeners have really enjoyed that. And I promise, guys, we are going to make it up to you. But as you can probably guess, it's just been very, very busy for me these past few weeks. And in the next 2 weeks after that, things will slow down for me a bit. Although my wife's 40th birthday party is the 28th. So I got to help plan that as well, too. But it never ends. But anyway, if you'd like to help support us, you can do so over at patreon.com/thegocast, and we really would appreciate your help. With that, let's go ahead and talk about the new games we've been playing. I don't want to read these, Alyssa, because I don't want.
I will be happy to.
No. I don't have a problem actually reading them. You can do it. I'm just saying I don't want to hear them because I don't have time for new games.
Oh, you don't want to hear it? Okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Detective Pikachu Returns, which is the sequel to the original game. Didn't expect this to happen. Comes to Switch on October 6th. NHL 24 comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, and Xbox One October 6th. Forza Motorsport, the latest in the series, comes to Xbox Series consoles and PC October 10th. Little Gator Game, which just looks like a cute little sandbox title, comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, and Xbox One October 10th. Long Gone Days, which is a military RPG that looks very interesting, is coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC October 10th. Roblox is finally coming to PS4 October 10th. Wildcard Football, go football, woo! Comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC October 10th. Total War Pharaoh comes to PC October 11th, and the Company of Heroes collection comes to Switch on October 12th. And like you said, you didn't want to listen to it, Scott, but did any of those sound intriguing to you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I I love me some football, and
yeah,
Wildcard Football does look fun, although the trailer doesn't feel like it's gameplay, it just feels like a cinematic trailer. But
yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
when I watched it, it failed. It felt very cinematic.
Yeah, but I don't know. The only real football games we get anymore are, Madden, and Madden is just so simulation for me. And baseball gets these arcadey ones. There's that one series that I played on Xbox for a while that was, I cannot remember what it was called now, but it was like these little squat players. And this looks like a football version of that, but there's power-ups and there's bumpers on the field, and you can grow to gigantic size, and that's the kind of football I would like to play. I do plenty watching football. I don't need another simulation football game like Madden. Give me some arcadey goodness. So that's what I'm going to pick. What about you?
I would actually like to check out Detective Pikachu Returns, but I've never played the first game, so I don't know if that would be possible.
Yeah.
I just like Pokemon and being a detective. That's why. And Long Gone Days did look interesting to me, just because the fact it is a military RPG. It just seems like a cool concept. So
Okay.
I might check those games out at some point.
Sounds good. I will not. I feel like I could play nothing but backlog for the rest of the year and I'd be fine. And it's not like, and it wouldn't even be like a FOMO thing because everything that I have not got to play, I really want to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
you
not
have
like
FOMO for that, for the backlog.
Yeah. And but then October is here.
And it just assaults us with all these titles.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy, crazy month of games. It got Alan Wake 2 coming, Spider-Man 2 coming, Mario Wonder. And then November, Mario RPG. I have to replay that game. I do get the entire week of Thanksgiving off this year.
Oh, that's good.
Again, hey, Scott, go ahead. Alyssa, ask me.
Hey Scott, can you?
No.
Okay.
I'm just warming. I'm just practicing. Nothing personal against you,
No.
Alyssa, but no.
No, I applaud you for saying no. I'm not heartbroken.
I'm trying to practice up so that I can do that.
So Scott, you're playing Project Blue on Xbox, and this seems like a game that would be very much in your wheelhouse. It just kind of screams Mega Man to me in the trailer. Is that what it is, or is it something completely different?
I mean, it plays very much like Mega Man. First off, it's like an 8-bit looking game. This is one of those 8-bit legit games. It's actually the publisher who sent me a copy of the game.
That's a very cool company name, by the way.
It is a very cool company name. They basically make games that are made for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and they actually make physical cartridges that you can play on the Nintendo. But this was a digital copy that I played on Xbox. It is also, I believe it's available on other platforms as well. I forgot to check, and that is my bad. But most of the time I see that these are available. I know it's on Switch for sure.
Okay.
And I would assume it's on PlayStation and PC, but double check me on that. But yes, it is old school 8-bit graphics, and it actually feels very early NES graphics.
Okay.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean I mean that in a good way because it reminds me of the very early days of that console cycle. It looks very much similar to that. The chiptunes are very 8-bit, but the game, like you mentioned, it feels kind of Mega Man-y. You're not acquiring robot weapons or anything like that. You're not fighting bosses and acquiring their weapons, but it is a 2D platformer where you have the ability to shoot a weapon, much like Mega Man does, and it actually kind of looks like the little lemons that Mega Man shoots. But the game boasts something like 256 screens to get through, and each screen is just like imagine like a Celeste, but with 8-bit graphics. And not nearly as difficult. Every room is completely manageable.
I was going to ask if it was difficult or not.
It's tough, but not for the individual room reason. Each room has like a tiny little trick to be able to get to the end of the screen to continue on, but it's not. It doesn't make you scratch your head nearly as much. It's just like, oh, I got to get this timing down, or I have to figure out where I can jump without getting shot by this enemy. But the interesting part is the first time I played it, I got through several screens, and you have a health bar, and every time you get hit, you lose a heart, and then you can find hearts along the way, and you can find these power-ups that actually increase your hearts, and you find a power-up that makes your gun shoot bigger and more powerful, and you get these little things along the way. And I made it through, I don't know, I'm going to say 30 or 40 screens.
Oh, wow.
And I lost all 3 of my lives, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to continue. It started me back at the very beginning.
Oh, the pain.
So unless I'm missing something, I have to play through all 256 screens in one sitting on 3 lives, which again, you can acquire additional lives as you go. And this is not like Super Meat Boy difficulty of gameplay. But I am definitely up for the challenge. This is one that I really would like to get a physical copy of this cart to put in my collection, just because I think it's a really cool idea. It just feels very nostalgic of the Nintendo. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's made for that platform. But I love that companies are still making these. I did the one that was an escape room a while back. That was a ton of fun.
Netscape, was it called?
Yes, Netscape. And then CB played the one Full Quiet. I haven't got my hands on that one yet. I have it. I just haven't played it because CB is reviewing it for us. But I'm digging Project Blue. It just feels very raw, very fair. It's tough. It's challenging, but it's not. You're not going to throw a controller. You know what I mean? It'd be really difficult to give a Celeste level of difficulty without I can just redo this screen over again, which I really appreciated in Celeste. Oh, you die, no worries.
Oh, yeah.
A split second later, you're back.
Something I really appreciate. That's how I got through Celeste.
I love Celeste so much.
It's a great game.
This feels like a precursor to Celeste in terms of graphics and music and all that kind of good stuff. And without the oh, you died, you start back at the screen. Now, when you die and you still have lives left, you get to start at like a checkpoint, right?
Okay.
but if you lose all your lives, it's all
Back
the
to the
way back to
beginning.
the title screen. I'm wondering if they're like, because remember, like in Super Mario Brothers, there was a deal where like if you press the A button, if you'd lost all your lives and then you went back to the start screen and you held the A button before you pressed the start, it would actually continue at the world you left off. I wonder if there's like a secret like that built into this game.
It'd be cool if there were.
That would be pretty cool. So, yeah, the game is called, again, Project Blue. If you like nostalgia, like those old NES games, I would recommend it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to diving deeper into it. Before we move on to our topic, I do want to let you know that we are going to... I actually sat down with David Newman, who is reviewing a game for us that I think you guys will find very interesting. This game looks awesome. It's called Mythforce, and I hope you guys enjoy his review. Well, hello there, David. Long time no see. How you been, man?
I've been doing fine. It's nice to see that the Bears still suck.
Oh, my goodness. I just got done watching the finale of that game, and if you're not a sports fan, you have no idea what we're talking about, but I laughed very hard. Very, very hard.
Absolutely.
But we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about a game you're reviewing for us called Mythforce. You're playing it on PS5, but it is also available on Xbox, PC, and Switch. And I gotta say, this trailer trips my trigger for more than one reason. First off, it's a roguelike, which I like. And apparently you do now, because that seems to be like your bread and butter lately. But also, the art style looks straight up out of Saturday morning cartoons. And the first thing I want to ask you, does that art style last throughout this game, or is that just during cutscenes? And please tell me it stays throughout.
You want the honest answer?
I do want the honest answer.
No, it doesn't. It's just mostly through the cutscenes, which I have to be honest with you, there are not many. Which it hurts. I know. So I mean, just like the Bears, this game is living in the 80s. Sorry, I had to take one more shot there. But yeah, it is based off the 80s cartoon style as far as like what they're going for.
Even the music in the trailer.
So you boot this game up, and I'm not kidding you. It was like I was about to like sit there and watch an episode of Thundercats or something like that.
That was taped off of VHS.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I will give it that. Like the art style doesn't stick to that like 80s cartoon in the sense of like it's hard for that to like look like that. But I will say like the skeletons and stuff that you like fight, like that definitely like has a lot of that 80s vibe. And then they have the graininess that still comes out. Although it just doesn't look like the cartoon in the cutscene. So
gotcha. So tell me about this style of game. Is this first person? Is this... I know it's roguelike, and I don't usually play many first-person ones, so I'm kind of intrigued by that as well.
Okay, so it is a roguelike, as you alluded to. It's a first-person roguelike, and essentially what it is it's goofy 80s cartoon. You're a group of people that are a group of superheroes that are trying to take down this, evil villain that's trying to take over the world. Shocker.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's based. Each section is an episode or a chapter in each episode, and there you can call it like 3 chapters or 3 episodes. So there's 9 total sections in the game, and essentially, what you're like, you have 4 different types of characters. There's a person with a sword and a shield, a mage, an archer, and like a rogue. They all like obviously have their different styles and stuff, and didn't mention this already, but it is a co-op game if you so choose to. If you have 3 other friends, you can play as co-op. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten to try out co-op. Get a review code. Not many people are going to be playing it at the time. So it's interesting because, you can play as the different characters, and as you said, it's a roguelite. So you go through and you go as far as you can, and then if you die, you have to start back at the beginning. The nice thing is you start back at the beginning of the chapter. So if let's say you're on episode 1, chapter 2, you die, you go back to the start of the chapter 2.
So you're not like rehashing the exact same story over and over again.
Correct. Yes.
Nice.
So that is nice. What I will say, unfortunately, though, is this game is kind of meh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So it is nice that you don't have to start over from the beginning. But the problem is that, especially in the first 3 chapters in that first episode, everything looks just about the same.
Okay.
They are procedurally generated. The enemies kind of change up, but it just like every single section is about the same. You go from one area, you have so many enemies you have to defeat, and then a gate opens for you to go to the next area.
Typical roguelike formula, pretty much.
Yep. The problem is it just looks so much like the same. And like, okay, I've played Cult of the Lamb, which you could argue also looks very the same, you know, from place to place. However,
or Ember Knights, which I played recently, same kind of thing.
However, one being in the 3D type of realm instead of a top down makes that a little more. It looks more jarring to me. But the other thing, though, is the combat to me is not too fun.
Is it hack and slash or like a melee focus or ranged?
Well, so you can play as either, and that might be where some people might get some fun out of that. However, it's just kind of slow to me. So I like playing as the ranged person, but the problem is that what I can usually do is enemies are very slow, so I can just pick a corner from where they don't come out of, and then just keep shooting and shooting until eventually they're either dead or they come up close to me and I can teleport across. Now you can tell me, well, that's a dumb way to play if you don't think it's fun, but it's like, it feels like that's like the best way to play for that specific character. And the knight I had difficulty with, just because they felt like I couldn't block as easily. Now that could just be me in the game, but wasn't having a lot of fun with the sword and shield person. So I went with the ranged. It's better, but it's just not it. I don't want to say it's not challenging because the game definitely has its challenges. It takes a while to get through an area. You don't have you don't regenerate health. You have to pick up health potions. You don't start with one. So it definitely has its difficulties, but it's very samey. And the enemies don't change a lot either. In the very first chapter, it's essentially all skeletons. They only change by one comes out to you with a sword and shield. One's just a sword. You'll have a ranged one and then a long sword. It's all about the same type of enemy. Then you'll have mushrooms, you'll have some lizards, but they're the same. They're essentially the same thing. It's just different skin.
Do you ever get any like upgrades that make it feel cooler?
So you do get upgrades. Cooler is not. I don't want to say it's cooler. They obviously help you run to run. Like that's where the roguelite part really comes into play, is that every run is gonna be different because you will get different types of upgrades. I don't know if it's necessarily cooler. It's usually like extra attack damage, or there is some where it's like you can corrupt yourself, but you get plus 60% damage, which I don't even know what the corruption really is, to be honest with you. I was like, well, I just do it every time because I get the plus 60% damage and I don't notice the difference between corrupted and not. So,
gotcha. So how far did you make it?
I am on the 5th chapter, so I'm on the second episode. The cool thing was after I finished the third one, which was the boss, for the first episode, you actually do get a cutscene that then introduces the next boss of the episode, and so I made it that far. And so like I said, the first 3 basically look the same. 4 and 5, every single section basically looks the same almost. Just some minor.
Even going into the second episode, the environment still looks the same?
Sorry, I meant the environments look the same in that episode. So in the first one, it's more like an outside castle or ruins area, and then the second one, it's more of you're in the crypts.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, this game, it has a lot of potential. It's just I've been spoiled with some really good roguelikes. Cult of the Lamb is one. Children of Morta, where they just felt like, the combat was fun and everything like that. This is kind of just slow and clunky to me.
Well, I mean, those games were great because even though you died, it was still fun to go back and start over because the gameplay was so fun.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And this does, it's not that it's not that fun. Like I just played Crime Boss Rocket City, and like that was a roguelike that like didn't do very well. I'm just crapping on a bunch of different things today, apparently. But I definitely have like seen like, where the lows can go and everything. This is just kind of in that like middle where it's like, okay, it can be kind of fun, but if I die, I don't necessarily want to jump back in. Like that's kind of the unfortunate thing is like, I'm like, and some of the times I die where I just feel like it is the game. I don't like to blame the game too much, like I did in FIFA when I used to play that all the time. But this time it does feel like, there will be times where you have different abilities that you can do, and there's a cooldown meter for those different abilities. And unfortunately, like sometimes it's been past the cooldown time and it never reset for me.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Like it was like, it shows that I can use it, but then it doesn't. And I'm trapped in a corner and then I die.
Gotcha.
It's just.
So it sounds like it's not like a hardcore not recommend, but it's also not a recommend either. It's kind of somewhere in the middle.
I think, yeah. I mean, so I think the game is $30. If you can somehow in some way game share, either through Xbox or PlayStation with someone, and essentially split it in half, you're spending $15 on that game, and playing it with friends, you might have a good time. It's, I think as a solo game, it's not great. It's a little bit clunkier to me. The movements are not very crisp. Have you played Chivalry 2?
I have not, but I'm familiar with the title. I think that the way you're describing this game, it reminds me of a 3D, like first-person 3D Gauntlet as a roguelike.
Okay.
Is that accurate or no?
When you say Gauntlet, like it's a gauntlet, like going through each section to then get
No. The actual game Gauntlet on NES, like it was an arcade game.
Sorry.
Not Gauntlet Legends, but like no? Okay.
Sorry, I didn't really play the NES.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you're old, so.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm old. Okay. Well, that's Mythforce. I'm sorry you didn't like it better, man. Maybe try some co-op and see if that changes things up. Find someone to play with and let me know if that works.
Yeah. I would definitely want to play this with co-op. I just think like, having a buddy or something like that will be good. Yeah. Especially if you can have 3 buddies, it would be even better, and you have the whole team. So.
Exactly. Again, that is Mythforce. You're playing on PS5. It comes from developer Beamdog, and it was provided to us by Aspire. So thank you. I'm sorry, that's the publisher. The publisher is Aspire. The developer, the company that sent it to us was Sandbox Strategies. So shout out to those guys. But David, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure as always to talk to you. And I'd like to say can't wait to see you at R2V2, but it sounds like you're not going to be able to make it out. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'll be close. I'll be in Wisconsin, but I'll be at a wedding that day. So.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by anyway, man. You have a good one. All right.
All right. Bye.
Well, thank you, David. Really appreciate your review there, and want to give everybody a quick shout out where you can follow the Gaming Outsider if you'd like to get join our community. First off, facebook.com/groups/the GoCast is our Facebook group, and we got a bunch of new members over there. Gio Villa, Daniel Clemen, and Anna Schreiner. Welcome to the community. Hopefully you're listening to the show and get to hear your name shouted out on the episode. Also over on Discord, we have a Discord where we got a great community thriving over there. We'd love it if you joined. There's a link in the show notes, and we have a new member over there as well by the name of Subi MSN. Hopefully you're enjoying the community as well. Also, drop us a review on Apple Podcasts if you could. We haven't got one in quite a while, and I'd really love it if you guys would drop a review in there. We would. I will read it on the show if it's on there. So, or I'll make Alyssa do it. Maybe
I can do it. Whoever you want to read it, we will make that happen.
And then lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all our episodes and all of our written content, which I don't know, Alyssa hasn't written a review in like 3 days, so she must be...
It's been longer than 3 days. I am itching. I have to finish up the game I'm playing, Stardander, which I talked about last week, I believe. I need to finish that up and get the review in, and I'm feeling itchy.
Yeah. I was just teasing you because...
No, I think I'm addicted to reviewing games now.
That's
Scott.
amazing. You're gonna, like,
I don't have one waiting for me, so I'm really itchy. I'm like, ah!
I think my ambitious goal was to do 24, so I could say I did 2 every month. And I think you're like right there already, and it's only October, so kudos to you. I gotta do some writing. I'm gonna play catch up after October 14th. But anyway, yeah, thegamingoutsider.com. I would really appreciate it if you checked it out when we do write things on there. And now let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. Want to give another shout out to one of our vendors or one of our sponsors for the Gaming Outsider. There is a restaurant in town called Octane Restaurant. It is owned by a buddy of mine. His name is Patrick Alberto. It is an awesome restaurant. He's got very good food, very different from the norm. Like I had a warm pear salad when I was there one time. It was really, really good. But he also has a food truck called Kabao Food Truck. He sells bao, which I believe is Korean. It's little, like, almost like a pita sandwich. And that's the food truck that we're going to be having at R2V2. If you are in the Rockford area, either stop by Octane. It's a great restaurant. He's got a good beer selection. And tell him, hey, he usually works in the kitchen. He actually owns a place, but he is a cook as well. And then also his food truck, if you see it out and about, be sure to check it out. I have not tried it myself personally, so I can't give you a personal recommendation. But everyone that I've talked to who has had it has said it's great. And you can try it at R2V2 as well. He's going to be selling food and drinks in front of the Lyran Club, so be sure to check that out. All right, on to our topic. Every first episode of the month, we ask our community for video game-related questions to entice some interesting conversation. It's one of our favorite times of the month because you guys all come up with some awesome ideas every single month, and I'm looking forward to it. So, Alyssa, you want to kick things off? Sure.
Over on Facebook, I may butcher this last name. Do you know how to pronounce it, Scott?
I don't, Matthew. I'm sorry. I'm going to say Machand.
If we butchered it, Matthew, we're so sorry. Matthew J. Machand asks, with the CEO of Capcom saying video games are still underpriced, what is a fair price for a AAA title?
What do you think?
That's difficult because, I mean, to me, them jumping up to $70 made me kind of go, oh, expensive, even though I still pay for it. I kind of feel like 60 was a good price, but I do know a lot of work goes into games, and they do deserve the price that they're asking. It's just trying to look at it both from a consumer standpoint, from a gamer standpoint, and then just, I don't know, business standpoint, I guess.
It's difficult for me to answer because I'm in a position where I could technically afford a $100 game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I manage my money pretty tightly. I'm cheap. You know what I mean? And I do a lot of extra work with the DJing and with splitting wood and all that to be able to pay for my video game hobby. And so I can afford it. But I also know that people, kids, I mean, I worked my tail off when I was a kid to be able to pay for video games as well, too. But it's a different world we're living in where it's not so much even about games anymore. It's about, V-Bucks and
that's true,
Robux and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different world. But I also know that some people just are living paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean? I'm lucky enough to be married to somebody that manages our money even more tightly than I do. Like I said, most of my gaming stuff is paid for with extracurricular activities. So not everybody has that luxury. Not everybody has, has dual incomes like me and my wife do. So I don't know. I feel weird saying that because I don't have a problem with the price tag. Would I like to pay less? Absolutely. But I think for how much goes into these, I think 70 is a fair price. It hasn't gone up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time it's gone up in 20 years?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, remember we were paying $80 for Street Fighter 2 brand new back in the day, and then games dropped down to 60. So I don't know. I don't think that it's a blanket price. I don't think it should be
Yeah.
just 70. Go ahead.
I feel like it also depends on your income, because in my case, I don't really think I've mentioned this before, but I'm on disability. I do not make that much. Like, my extra money goes mainly towards manga. I'm lucky enough to game share. But if I ever lose that privilege of being able to game share, I will definitely have to buckle down on games I'm playing. So, yeah, definitely any kind of price increase is going to hurt me a little bit more. But that's
Mhm.
because I don't make nearly as much money. I'm below the poverty line. Like, that, I'm just saying, with my disability.
Right. Plus, you don't get an increase. Like you don't get
I
like a
mean,
raise.
there is an increase per year because of the living expenses, but it's
Mhm.
not enough. Like, I don't see how people survive without help from
Mhm.
their family and friends, because I certainly could not.
Right.
So that's also something I take into consideration. It's just that. So my gaming would go down if I lost the ability to game share, which would be fine. I would learn
Mhm.
to live with it. But yeah, if it goes higher than $70, then I probably would only be able to afford, very minimal amount of games per year.
Right. Plus, you and I are also in a unique situation where we're able to acquire codes for games.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
I do play a lot of my games through review codes as well.
Right. And not everybody has that luxury, but that's also it sounds great on paper, like, oh, you get these free games. Yeah, but you also have to, talk about it on a produced podcast, and you've got to write a
Which,
review
that
and
doesn't bother me. I love it, but
yeah.
not everyone loves that aspect of it.
Right. I'm just saying that, I don't
Yeah.
want people to think that we just take these free games and run.
Yeah,
We
no.
actually
No.
put in the work, and Alyssa can attest to how much work goes into
Oh,
editing
yeah.
and reviewing and publishing it on the site, and then
A lot goes
getting
into it.
getting it back to our contacts, and like Zach likes to make fun of me for my spreadsheets, but I keep meticulous records of
Oh, that helps
everything
me
that we
when I'm
do.
editing the site and making shells. Like, that spreadsheet saves me a lot of the time. So I'm
Yeah.
really thankful you actually make that.
Well, I'm glad somebody appreciates it instead of making fun of me for it. Yes, I'm talking about you, Zach. No, but yeah, it's hard for me to answer what is a fair price, because I think
Yeah, it just
it,
depends
it
on your income level and just your general view, I guess, on money. Because even people that make, they can make a pretty good chunk of money, they might be more on the frugal side.
yeah, but
Or,
does it matter like what somebody makes, for what it takes for a game to be made? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's not like you could split it up and make a premium price for somebody that can pay it,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
true.
someone that can't. I mean, I guess the answer to that is kind of what they're doing, right? Where like you can pay the $100 version and get, early access to it. So
Mhm.
if you've got the money to spend and you can do it, you're going to get it early, and everybody else that isn't can do
Has to
that.
wait, 5 days, 7 days, whatever.
I mean, I know Zach doesn't like that. He says it's basically, getting extra money out of people. I don't know how did he word it. It's like you're being punished for paying it late, or for
For
buying the
paying
game
regular
later than everybody
price.
else. Yeah,
Or, yeah.
yeah, you're being punished for buying it at regular price. But maybe the way to look at that is that $100 is the regular price, or $90 is the regular price, and if you don't want to pay that, you can get it a little bit later than everybody else. I mean, that's how cars work, right? Like you
True, yeah.
buy a car right off the gate. If you wait a couple years, you can get that exact same car for much much cheaper, even though it hasn't been had anything done to it other than test drives. So
And
I don't
also
know.
with games, you could also just wait a few months for them to go on sale, either digitally or physically,
I
and have
totally
a price
can.
drop.
Like
I mean,
you
there's so many.
you
And
can't tell me
having a
that people
backlog.
don't have a backlog, that they could just sit and wait, but we've all got that FOMO, you
Hmm.
know? If you really want the prices of games to drop, everybody just stop buying them on release day and focus on your backlog. Nobody's going to buy it. I mean, I don't want to punish the video game companies
Yeah,
either. So I don't know what the right answer is.
yeah, that's going to differ with everyone, like their viewpoint on that. But
I don't know. I mean, it also depends on the game too, right?
That's
Like,
true.
for a AAA game, for something like a Forza or something that is just, or even like Assassin's Creed. I don't know if you've heard like the recent story of what they did with Assassin's Creed Mirage, where they're like meticulously diving into the history behind Baghdad and recreating the game, where like going through the game is somewhat of a history lesson, which is what I remember the old games being, right? Like
Yeah,
Assassin's
I
Creed
remember
2.
that as well. Yeah.
And there was an interview where they were talking to somebody from Baghdad who was like literally tearing up because of just how beautiful this research has been about his home country, and things like that, where they're going the extra mile for something that not that many people are going to appreciate.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like people just want to go stabby and be happy with it. Um, but again, Forza, not Forza Horizon, but Forza Motorsport.
Hmm.
Just how insane that game looks.
It
You know,
looks beautiful. I mean, the Forza games always look beautiful, whether it's the Horizon games or the Motorsport. But
right.
yeah, it looks insane. It's
And
just so
then,
beautiful.
and if you do have a game that doesn't have that level of detail, I feel like you also shoot yourself in the foot, because a $40 price tag suddenly makes the game feel devalued, even though we don't have any problem with $20 for Sea of Stars, which granted,
I feel like that one should be priced a little bit more than that, actually.
yeah, I mean, there's got to be a ton of development that went into that game, and the dialogue and the graphics are gorgeous. But yeah, like it's either 20, 40, or 70, right? And 20 is good, 70
yeah.
is not. We don't like it, but we pay for it.
Yeah.
But then you throw something at a $40 or $50 price tag, and suddenly it's like, well, why is it 40 or 50? I'm not going to get that quality of a game that I'm going to get with a $60 or $70 price tag, and people will shy away from it, which is weird.
It is, yeah.
Like, why can't we just enjoy a game? It does. Not every game has to be a 10.
No, it doesn't.
And
Like, sometimes
I mean,
you just want to play a game that, maybe is a 7 in your opinion, or a
mhm.
6. Like, it's
Or
not going to
maybe,
blow your mind, but it's fun.
or maybe the story is a 10 and the gameplay's a 6. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
something like that. As long as there's something within that game that is worth playing, I don't have a problem paying the $40 or $50. But again, I don't need to for a while.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
perfectly
true.
fine, just doing what I'm doing. So, well, Matthew, I think you got a little bit more answer maybe than you bargained for. But let's go ahead and move on to the next one from Sean Coates. He says, leapfrogging off of last week's topic, do any of you miss physical strategy guides? Lately, I've been kind of fascinated with collecting them almost as much as collecting the games themselves. It was an obvious inevitability that the rise of YouTube walkthroughs, or to go even further back, game facts, that physical guides would go by the wayside. What do you think, Alyssa? Did you ever use the physical strategy guide?
Oh yeah. I had them for every single Tomb Raider game.
Oh, really?
Usually my mom or dad would take me to, there was this little shop here that's no longer here in my town that would have comic books and strategy guides, and we'd always buy a strategy guide along with the Tomb Raider game on release date. And when I was younger, it's kind of hard to play the original Tomb Raider games when you're a kid. If you've played them, you know how challenging they could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd play with my mom at home, and we just passed the controller back and forth, and whoever was playing would play, and then whoever wasn't would read the strategy guide.
Oh, there you
if
go.
we got stuck. But I would read the strategy guide just for fun, because again, I love to look at the screenshots they would take from the game. I love to read about the lore, the characters. I loved them. I still have the Tomb Raider strategy guides, and I have a few others. But yeah, I am a little sad they don't really make as many as anymore. I mean, they do still make some for some games, but they're not as common as they used to be. I just remember getting those Prima strategy
guides. Yep. Yeah. I'm kind of like you. I used to get them because I couldn't afford the game.
Yeah.
Mostly like checking them out from the library or something like that, where I wasn't actually paying for it. I could just get it. I did the same thing with Nintendo Power magazines. I would take out those Nintendo Power magazines all the time. But strategy guides, sometimes they were there as well. I do have a stack, and Sean, remind me when you're here. If you're collecting them, I got a bunch I can probably hook you up with. Because they're just sitting on my shelf, and I don't know if they're valuable. Maybe I guess I'll have to ask you. You'd be the one to know. But there's a couple that are near and dear to my heart. Like I've got Final Fantasy 7 and 8. I don't know. There was something cool about just rifling through a book instead of scrolling through a page on my phone or whatever. Because number one, finding a good strategy guide online can be a chore in itself,
Oh,
right?
especially today when you have to go to YouTube and then it's like, am I gonna hear someone talking? Am I gonna see them keep making mistakes until they finally get to what I'm trying to find?
Exactly. Or you got to scrub through like an hour and a half long video to find where in the game you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just easier to rifle through the page. And is that the right word? Rifle? I
Yeah.
don't know. Rifle through the pages and look for like just a spot that makes sense instead of scrubbing through a YouTube video and potentially spoiling something. I don't know. Just the book is kind of nice. And plus you get the pictures. A lot of times, like if you do have like a website that's actually giving you text to read. The older I get, I would rather take a text thing to read when I'm stuck with something than a video.
Oh, I would as well.
Which is so weird. You would think that the video would just, you got the audio and the video visual cues and everything, but no, I would just rather read it for myself because I can read at my own speed. I can scroll through easier than But yeah, the book is nice. I think it's more of something cool to look on the shelf. Like, look at the strategy guide I've got. But I've got a ton of Zelda ones that I bought just because they were Zelda. I've never even cracked them open. But yeah, the Prima ones, I remember those for sure. Some of them, and I always thought that those would be collector's items, and I feel like they're not.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not worth anything.
Yeah, I went to a store here and I saw some. I'm like, oh, these are gonna be expensive, and they were like $2 a piece.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
There weren't any games that were interesting to me, but I was like, I thought they would be more than this.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's gonna be the next big thing that's just gonna blow up. You should just like buy them all and sit on a stack of paper strategy guides and see what happens. Who knows?
Maybe.
But yeah, Sean, thanks for the topic, and I'm serious. I will give you some if you want some when you're here, if you're listening. You want to go ahead and move on to Discord?
Sure. Brandon Lloyd asks, has a video game made you cry/tear up? Recent memory was the end of A Plague Tale Requiem. That hurt me.
Didn't we do an entire episode
I
on
believe
emotional
so?
games?
I think we did.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and answer the question. I'm just.
I am a notoriously emotional person, but I don't cry when it comes to games or books. I will cry a ton with movies and TV shows, but games and books, I've only remembered I think one book making me cry. Gaming, if I've cried to one, I do not recall it. I don't know, there's just a disconnect for me emotionally. Like, I can see something and know it's sad or shocking or whatever on screen, but it just doesn't affect me emotionally the same way movies and TV shows will with that same reaction. I guess maybe I know they're pixels, so I don't have as much of a connection as seeing, a real person, even if it's a fictional character on a movie or TV show. It's happening to a real person.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really get emotional with video games.
Interesting.
And it's always been and I'm an emotional person, so it's always thrown me off that I don't cry or anything during video games.
And just as a heads up, Brandon, if you go back to our website, thegamingoutsiders.com, and drop in the search box episode 190, that is an episode where we talked all about games that affected us emotionally. If you want to hear that in more detail, you can scrub forward. That topic is in there. So, but for me, I'm the same way with books. I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a robot. When I read a book or listen to an audiobook, I don't get emotional. There's been movies that I watch where I'll get a little bit emotional. I'm a sucker for movies when there's like a really sweet father-daughter relationship. I don't know. Maybe it's says something about me. What was a Ryan Reynolds movie? Definitely Maybe.
Yes, Definitely Maybe.
Oh man, that closing scene, the thing he says to his daughter, I was just like, oh, it's so my emotions. I get emotional with stuff that's happy more than I do sad, unless something just really connects to me personally. But with games, I find myself getting more emotional when there's like a really powerful moment, not necessarily something that's sad, but just something that just feels beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to sound weird, and I think I might have talked about it on episode 190, but when I finished BioShock Infinite, number one, I just kind of sat dumbstruck,
Yeah.
staring at the screen, trying to piece together what happened, and just my mouth agape. But then they close the game in the credits with what's his
Troy
name that plays
Baker
Booker?
and Courtney. I forgot her last name.
We're both terrible people, but yeah, Troy Baker and the woman that played Elizabeth singing "May the Circle Be Unbroken,"
Yeah.
and it's not even like a performance; it's them just like practicing in the studio with what's his name, the Ken Levine, I believe
Yes,
it's Ken Levine.
Yeah.
Just kind of like giving them tips and pointers, and then they just kind of get into the groove, and he's playing guitar while he's doing it. It was such a touching, beautiful behind the curtain look. Like they were just kind of acting like they didn't even know they were being filmed, and that combined with the emotional impact I got from finishing the game, and it was just such a sweet way to wrap up that game that I got emotional. I really did. One of the few times I've watched the entire credits and then immediately fired up the game to start it from the beginning just to experience it all over again.
Oh wow.
I miss having the time to do that. I was obsessed with BioShock Infinite when it came out. I really
I love
loved
that game as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think of other ones. I mean, The Last of Us, that
I could
opening
have listened to
scene.
that. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it so many times now, and then with the series, it doesn't hit quite as much, but it's still tough. Even in part two, there were some
Oh yeah.
moments where it was just like a gut punch. It's a very visceral game, not only visually, but just the story just gnawed at your heart in more ways than one. So, well, thanks for the question, Brandon. I'm sorry I don't have more, but like I said, check
Yeah.
out that old episode.
I'm sorry I'm not emotional with video games.
My wife gives me a hard time. She calls me a robot all the time because
I've been called a robot before too.
like when family members pass, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's life. It's
I
a
will
bummer.
cry when family members. I mean, I'm still inconsolable after having my cat die a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm risking crying by mentioning that. So I am affected by real life losses, and I just don't know why I'm a robot when it comes to games.
Probably just because, like you said earlier, it's like you're separating it from
Yeah.
it's not real. These
Yeah.
aren't living, breathing creatures. These are pixels or actors or words on a page.
Mhm.
You're building up a movie in your brain, but or on the screen. But it's happened on occasion. But like I said, it's usually more for the beauty aspect of it. And I hate to sound like that guy from the movie American Beauty. This garbage bag is just so beautiful. I don't mean to sound like that guy, but I don't know. There are some moments where things are just so touching that I get emotional.
That's sweet.
There's movies that I've seen 1,000 times that I know the scene is coming up. I can quote it by heart, and it's just so beautiful. I know everybody hates it now, but I still like the movie Love Actually.
I do as well.
But the scene, the whole story with Jamie and the girl that what is her name? I say I have the movie memorized and I can't remember. Jamie and
I've only seen it twice, so I'm trying to remember who
Aurelia.
Jamie is.
It's where they speak a different language, and
Yeah.
but they connected and they were having conversations and they were having a conversation together and they didn't even know because they were speaking different languages, and then they were separated and they each learned each other's language just in case they ever ran into each other, they'd be able to speak to each other.
Yeah.
And she says just in cases. That is so freaking adorable. I know people hate that movie for reasons mostly because of the the stalker guy that's like hitting on his best friend's wife and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I understand that. I think a lot of people kind of miss the point. But anyway, yeah. So like I said, the beautiful moments affect me more than sad moments. Who's up? Is it my turn?
It is your turn.
All right. Drew Ross says, what are some games from a genre that you'd like to see them make that game into a different genre? What games and genres would you like to see? And somebody gave a really good example. I believe it was it Kevin They gave the example of it was a Mega Man RPG, Mega Man X RPG to be specific. Did you ever play that one?
I've never played a single Mega Man game.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Really? Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I guess it shouldn't be surprising anymore when I say I haven't played something.
I mean, those are tough games. If you don't like twitchy games, it was originally. Let's see, is it Drew Ross that put it? No. It was Kevin. Mega Man X Command Mission, which was not a typical Mega Man game. It was a turn-based RPG, and sadly somehow I've missed that game, and I need to remedy that, but it's a little hard with no GameCube. I have a GameCube. CB probably owns the game. But yeah, do you have any examples of that? Like a game that just kind of completely falls into a different genre?
I cannot come up with anything at the moment.
No?
Drawn to blank.
I mean, the one that comes to mind is everybody raved about like Marvel Snap, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not super into card games. I kind of enjoy them, but I don't know enough about the Marvel universe to really appreciate like the rewards for that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see a card-based game in a universe that I cared about, or characters that I really liked a lot, like Nintendo characters, or maybe just Zelda or something like that. So yeah, I don't know, something that would get me to bring me into a mobile game that I'm going back to and playing. Although I say that, and my mobile game of choice now is Duolingo, so I'm not. I don't really have time for
yeah,
any
Scott is
other
very
mobile games.
passionate about Duolingo, which
Oh my goodness.
I admire.
I'm on a mission to I'm this close to the league, whatever's after Pearl League.
I think it's Pearl, Obsidian, then Diamond, because I'm on Diamond right now.
You're on Diamond?
That's the very last one, I'll probably be demoted.
I'm in 4th place, and there's only 4 hours to go. So, and there's
which
somebody...
we were like neck and neck. I noticed a couple days ago on this section area. I'm like, I've been learning Japanese for over 950 days now. I'm like, Scott's already at the same area I am.
I don't do just the bare minimum every day. I do I do all the quests every single day. That's like my bare minimum that I do, and then I do more if I can. So I try to capitalize on those bonus boosts, and I don't know how many gems you have, but I'm up to like 1,700 gems.
I've got over 1,000 something gems. Yeah.
I love that I found a game version to help me learn something.
I love Duolingo.
It's making me realize that we need more stuff like this in regular education. Where kids are getting instant gratification for doing something right, for getting an answer correct. When we were kids, we had our papers graded, and we didn't get it back to like the next day or the end of the week or something, right?
Oh yeah, and you'd be nervous the whole time, like, did I pass that?
Yeah.
The test? Did I fail it?
Yeah. Even now, I mean, I set it up. We're getting off the rabbit trail here, but I have an online program that I use for assessments, and it actually turns green if they get it correct. You know what I mean? And I find that they're more receptive to doing it. They're striving to get that green check mark. They're trying to do it. Now, if it's a multiple choice question, it's kind of moot, right? Because they just kind of click whichever one until it turns green. They're not learning.
Yeah.
But the way Duolingo does it, I feel like should be incorporated more into education as a whole, not just language. Not that what they're doing isn't great. It's fantastic. I feel like I understand so much more about the language than I did, although I'm still barely scratching the surface. I feel like this is going to have to be a 5-6 year thing for me before I can even come close to being
for me as well
fluent. Like I just, it's nuts, but I enjoy that. Anyway, other genres, boy.
I'm trying to think of something.
Well, maybe reverse engineer this and just think of different genres and what universe we would like to see in that. Like let's do a kart racer. What game would you like? What series would you like to see a kart racer?
Let's see. I was going to say Final Fantasy, but they had a kart racing game called Chocobo Racing. I played that religiously as a child.
Did you?
I loved that game. I would actually like to see a resurgence of that game because I loved it that much.
Okay.
But I mean, they can make another Final Fantasy kart racing game with different characters. Doesn't have to be Chocobo Racing.
I think it would be fun to do a kart racer with like old school arcade characters like Namco.
Oh yeah.
What did they do I feel like there was a Pac-Man racer. Was it
I
just
can't
Pac-Man
recall.
though? But I'm talking like get like Dig Dug, and use the cars from Rally X and things like that. I just like have all these, but make the carts look realistic, but all the characters driving them are still super digitized, but in like voxel form.
Yeah.
I think that would be super fun. So that's kart racing. You throw out a genre. Let's see what game we can plug into it.
Visual novel.
Oh my goodness, visual novel. Well, I'm to think of what games I wish I could know the story of more. I mean, I'm
I'm
not.
gonna
I'll
say
be
Alan Wake. That'd be really cool.
okay. Yeah,
Just
but
have
the
it.
but the flashlight mechanic was really cool.
I know. Getting rid of the flashlight mechanic would be a little bit of a bummer.
Like something with like a murder mystery.
Yeah, those are the best visual novels.
Like what games are out there that are like a murder mystery that I feel like we don't get enough of those really, and most of them
No,
are
we
visual
don't. Yeah, I
are visual
know.
novels. You don't get a lot of like action oriented murder mysteries.
I know
but,
that the Sherlock Holmes games that are made by, is it Frogwares?
I don't know for sure.
We could have a Sherlock visual novel, like a Sherlock Holmes game visual novel, and that would be interesting to me.
Oh yeah, and you could totally use like the facial animations from LA Noire, where like the job is to actually zoom to be able to notice things.
Yeah.
Note like you're actually, while you're having a conversation, you're paying less attention to the conversation and more to things on their person that he would pick up, that Sherlock Holmes would always pick
That'd
up.
be really awesome.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're kind of like inspecting their person to look for clues on their body or on their clothes and making assumptions. That would
And then
be
have it be
really
like
fun.
Phoenix Wright, like that aspect when you're going through the clues and trying to select the right evidence for this statement, like have that system implemented.
Right. That's a good idea. Maybe just Sherlock Holmes in the Phoenix Wright universe.
That would be really cool. They should do that.
That's a good idea.
Capcom, you got an idea?
I've never played the Ace Attorney games.
Oh, they're on Game Pass now.
Are they like the original ones?
The first 3 are.
Okay. I think I dabbled in one for like a minute and I just did not understand it. I got to as far as one time going, objection! And I was like, that's all I wanted to see. I'm good.
That was so much fun though. When I played them on 3DS, and just yelling objection into your 3DS was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. I feel like if I remember correctly, you couldn't make the text move faster, and that annoyed me. So maybe I'm misremembering, but
I feel like I was able to, but I could be misremembering because it's been a while since I've played them.
I got a couple other ones. How about going genre?
Okay.
Like the Dynasty Warrior games. They made a Hyrule Warriors game where they put all the Zelda characters in that. What game would you like to see in a like go to town on all the enemies style game like that?
Oh,
somebody brought
tricky.
up Dynasty Warriors in Discord this week. That's why it's on my mind. I'm trying to think of something that has like a similar type enemy. I mean,
you can make one that was kind of based off the Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay. I mean, that's...
Just have a bunch of... But that'd be similar to Dynasty Warriors.
I was going to say, it'd be just Dynasty Warriors.
It's still samurai.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else could work?
Like some game where you're just mowing down... I guess it's kind of like Vampire Survivors, right?
Yeah.
I've never even like made that connection till now. Vampire Survivors is kind of Dynasty Warriors in 2 dimensions. I don't know why I've never made that connection. That's crazy. That's what I want. I want a 3D Vampire Survivors.
I would play it.
You know what? I think there was one. I think I got a press release on one. It was on PC. It was like a bullet hell, but it just wiping out enemies. Although it'd be kind of rough because you wouldn't be able to see what's behind you, right?
Oh yeah, true.
That's kind of the cool thing about that. How about a JRPG, turn-based JRPG? What game would you like to see get a turn-based treatment?
Let's see.
Something action. Like I'm just thinking something ridiculous like God of War.
Oh. Make an Uncharted game.
An Uncharted turn-based game? I mean,
But
there would be so
it
many
wouldn't be as fun,
headshots. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Max
It's really
Payne,
difficult.
no. I feel like you almost still have to. I mean, because that's what they
You
did
could
with.
do it with Nier. I feel
Okay,
like
okay.
keep the story, but then change the combat from what it is in Automata,
Yeah, then maybe I'd actually finish that game.
and then just make it turn based.
Yeah. Or some. I want to. Do we have any Western JRPGs?
Do you mean like Western genre or?
No, like Western, like cowboys, deserts, cactus.
I can't think of any. Zach would be the one to know that.
Yeah, Zach probably would know. But could you imagine, like, the duels? Where
Yeah.
like you face a draw. Like it would be kind of cool to have some way to do that, where you have like a rock paper scissors type thing, or you do a certain button combination, and the other person has to guess the button combination, and if they get it, they get a point. I don't know. There's just like there'd be really cool, interesting ways to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like
That'd be
JRPGs
cool.
are mostly like fantasy settings. We don't. Oh,
Yeah.
Live Alive had a
It did, yeah.
Western
I remember
section,
him talking
didn't it?
about that. Yeah.
I don't want a whole game, just like a Western. Zach is making me want to go play Western games now. All of a sudden,
I know. I've been wanting to at least watch more Western movies now since Zach's gotten into Westerns.
have you ever seen Silverado?
I have not.
Watch Silverado. It's a fun one.
Okay, I'll find it.
And there's a lot
somehow.
of actors in that you're gonna be like, holy cow, that person was in this movie. Like, what's his name from Independence Day is in Silverado. That plays Ian Malcolm,
And Malcolm?
the chaos theory guy with the glasses. He's in a Western.
I've only seen Independence Day once, so I'm trying to.
Jurassic Park.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
Jurassic Park.
I said
Oh,
Independence
Jeff
Day. I meant-
Goldblum?
Yes, Jeff Goldblum. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
I was thinking, I'm like, well, Jeff Goldblum played Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park, but then I was trying to think of Independence Day. I'm like, what?
No, I just totally said an idiotic thing. That is totally
No,
me.
it's fine.
But yeah, he's in a Western. Like, does he seem like a
Ooh.
dude that'd be in a Western?
No, but I'm not really surprised when he appears in anything.
Yeah. So yeah, Drew, thank you so much for the question, and we've got one more before we are done.
The last one is from David Newman, who has 2 different types of questions. And he writes, I've got 2 different types of questions with multiple parts. 1, I think this is arguably one of the most gem-packed 3 months in recent history as far as game releases. Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Alan Wake 2, and plenty more. Do you think this is one of the best stretches for releases? Can you recall any other times where there was such a large amount of great, or at least highly anticipated games in a short span?
Let's just answer this
Okay.
one first before we go on. I feel like September of 2019, wasn't that when Spider-Man dropped?
I believe so.
I
Could be
remember
wrong,
I
but-
remember that September being just loaded. I would have to. This is where Zach's
I know, we need Zach.
Zach has encyclopedic knowledge of video game releases. I feel like there was a whole bunch more during
I do
that
as well,
month.
but I just can't. I can't think of
Um,
what came out.
I'm trying to look it up here because I know that there was a whole bunch.
I'm awful with dates. I'm just.
I mean, I also feel like the one that we mention all the time, is when Red Dead came out at the same time as Super Mario Galaxy 2 and Alan Wake.
Yeah.
Like that was nuts, but that was a big deal at the time because it just didn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? Boy, I'm just drawing a blank on the
I
other
am as
ones.
well.
So let's see. I've got September pulled up. Gears 5 came out in September 2019. Borderlands 3. Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Catherine Full Body. Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. I don't know if that counts. Torchlight 2. Maybe this isn't as good of an example as I thought it was.
Maybe it was 2018.
Was it 2018?
I think that might have been when Spider-Man 2 came out.
Oh, did I have the wrong year? My apologies.
Potentially. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was September though, wasn't it?
I feel like it was an autumn release. September sounds correct.
It just sticks out.
Again,
in my
I'm
brain,
awful with
but-
dates, though.
Okay, so 2018 September, Dragon Quest XI, Marvel Spider-Man September 7th, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Life is Strange 2, Destiny 2's DLC, PlayerUnknown Battleground hit Xbox, Immortal Unchained. I can't remember if that was a big one or not. Probably not if I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember it.
Boy, let's see. Towerfall, FIFA. Yeah, maybe it wasn't as big. I think David might be right. This might be one of the most stacked short stretches. I mean, fall usually is jam-packed anyway, but this like 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, actually, it's longer than that because he threw Baldur's Gate 3 in there. And a lot of them are massive games that take several hours to complete.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's just because there's so much coming out throughout the year, and there's not a good time to release games anymore. Remember when like beginning of the year was always just like the dead time, that in summer, like just nothing came out, and now there's not a week where something doesn't come out that I want, where there's something that comes out that I don't want to play.
It's very rare that there's a week that there's just no game that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I said September 2019. I meant 2018. That's the one that sticks in my head as I remember Spider-Man. That's all I wanted to play. But then all this other cool stuff came out at the same time. So, and what was his second question?
It's October, which for the casuals like myself, it's spooky season. Do you tend to watch a good amount of horror during October? I know, CB, you watch it all year round. What are some movies you like to watch during this time of year?
Boy, I have such a love-hate relationship with Halloween.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I've been to so many parties that I just didn't like going to the party because it was never fun. But I also have a hate relationship with it just because people are so obsessed with Halloween that it becomes annoying. Like it's like, oh, this is our Christmas, and this is just constantly reminding me how much they like it better than Christmas. Great, good for you. I don't need to read about it every year. And then there's arguments about, is candy corn gross or is it not? But yes, the part I enjoy about Halloween is the scary movies. My wife and I like to sit on the couch on Halloween night if it's and watch whatever horror movie. But when I say horror movie, not like the gory ones. She doesn't like gory horror at all. She likes the scary ones that have to do with paranormal stuff, or ones where it is like a psycho killer guy she loves movies and true crime podcasts about people being abducted and trying to escape and stuff like that. So like things like The Strangers or The Ring for the paranormal one. Like those are kinds of horror movies she likes. There is one movie I try to watch every Halloween that I try to watch with at least one person that has never seen it before, and that is Sleepaway Camp. And you're laughing, so you've seen it and you know why. I have seen
this, yes.
But I just like to watch that movie with people just to see their reaction. I actually try to secretly film their reaction while we're watching it, if I can get away with it, just because that's so much fun. And it's shockingly easy to find people that haven't seen that movie, because why would you have? But I do like scary movies. I can't tell you. Like I said, I really like The Ring, but I feel like I'm kind of over it, especially, once you know the ending. Man, that ending. I've never felt more uncomfortable in the theater than I did the first time I saw The Ring. I was like squirming in my chair at that scene. That was good. How about you?
Well, I love horror movies. I usually watch them year round. I do try to watch more during October just because I'm like, I gotta get into the spooky season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any like specific ones that I watch. As a child, I would, watch Hocus Pocus, Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween Town, pretty much every Halloween season. But as an adult, I just kind of watch what I gravitate towards. But for the past 2 years, I've watched Train to Busan, which is an incredible film. Love it. I do want to watch The Wailing this year again. I've watched it before. It is a genuinely terrifying film, and it's been several years since I watched it. I also usually end up watching The Ring because my dad will find it on TV, usually I think on AMC during their 13 days of horror, whatever it's called.
Did you watch the original?
I
Like
have
the
seen it. I
Japanese?
do prefer the Japanese version, but the American one's good as well.
Okay.
But usually my dad will put The Ring on, and I'll be like, "Oh, there's Samara again."
Yeah, I'm kind of like with your dad, like whatever's on TV, just I don't know. The problem is commercials, right? I just hate watching movies with
Yeah,
commercials.
I'm not into commercials, but I actually was not into horror that much until 2016, 2015.
Hmm.
I was actually a very big scaredy cat, but then I went through a really bad mental health struggle, and the only thing that would help my excruciating panic attacks was actually watching horror movies that would calm me down. And then that's how I got into the genre, which I'm still scared to death of movies that involve possession, because I went to a religious school as a child and they kind of drilled it into our brains that if we didn't follow the Bible, if we sinned too much, we were opening ourselves up to be demonically possessed. And that kind of just sticks with me still, even though I'm no longer, of that belief system. It still sticks with me. So, I mean, but if I really am panicky, I will try to find something that involves possession or something of that nature to watch.
Right.
I'm like, oh, the movie's scary, but, real life scarier.
No, I hear you. I was raised in a similar situation. Like, I remember sitting in a, children's sermon, like I was
Yeah.
in a group of kids being preached at, and this guy was telling me about the movie The Exorcism and how that's real and that really happens. And if you don't want to be a part of that, you need to do this and that. And like, why would you scare children like that?
Yeah, I had that. I was so afraid of The Exorcist. If I saw a picture of Reagan on, like, in a GIF or GIF, however you pronounce it, I would freak out. And I had never watched the movie until I think probably 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I've only watched it the once, and it was still scary.
That's a messed up movie. Like,
it is, yeah.
The fact they got that little girl, they got some parents to sign off for that little girl to do those things, is in the 70s, no less.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, I could be like, oh yeah, of course parents are gonna be okay with that, but
I don't know if I'll watch the new one that's coming out or not.
I do like the Saw movies.
I love the Saw movies, actually.
I haven't watched all of them. I own them all, except for like I guess X just came out like this weekend or something.
Just opened, yeah.
I just part of me is kind of turned off that there are that many of them, because how many times did he die now? I don't know. I need to start over from the beginning. Maybe that's what I'll do for my go to bed. Yeah, that's probably not a good thing to go to bed to watch, but I don't know. The first movie was just so good and such a shock factor for me.
The first one's definitely my favorite.
It was just such a great surprise. And then then it just became more about how crazy can we make these traps instead of the lore or anything behind it.
Which, I love watching the traps as well because I do love gore.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy to me that you love gore, but
yeah, a lot of people don't even think I like horror, and then I'm like, yeah, I do.
And there's something about the original Halloween too that just that music is just very puts me into the fall season.
Yeah. I'm much more of a I love the Scream films, and Nightmare on Elm Street. I really love Freddy Krueger. I wasn't as big on Halloween or Friday the 13th as much as I was Scream and A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, I got a good one. I don't know if you would consider it a Halloween movie though, but I consider Event Horizon to be a horror movie.
Oh, I would say it's horror.
I really like that movie. That is another one with just a messed up ending that I did not see coming. Man, would you consider Sunshine to be horror?
I would. Love that movie.
I absolutely love. That was the movie that made me fall in love with that director. Danny Boyle, right?
Yeah, Danny Boyle, and I mean the cast: Cillian Murphy, Rose Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who else, but
Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh, yeah.
And Captain America, Chris Evans.
Oh yeah. I need to rewatch. I have Sunshine. I need to rewatch it. It's been
that is one of my
several years.
movies. I can watch that movie anytime it's on. It's such a well acted, great sci-fi story. I just love it. So So sorry, David, if our answers, or at least my answers, are a little unorthodox. But David, if you have not seen Sleepaway Camp, wait until you get to come to Rockford and hang out with me. I would like to introduce you to that movie. Because it's I bought it on iTunes just for that reason, so I could have it every year, whenever I want. And then you've seen it, right, Alyssa?
I have seen it.
Do yourself a favor, rewatch it this Halloween, and then go listen to the podcast "How Did This Get Made?"
Mhm.
with is it Paul Scheer, the guy from the league, Paul Scheer and Jason Mantzoukas, and Paul Scheer's wife, whose name is escaping me right,
June Diane Raphael.
Rayfield. Yeah. They do an episode where they talk about that, and it is hilarious. I don't listen to podcast episodes multiple times, and that is absolutely hilarious. So I highly recommend checking out that podcast. Well, that is all the questions we got this week. Thank you so much to everybody that wrote in. Really do appreciate it. Next week's topic, I think this was CB's idea. He said he wanted to talk about obscure must-plays. So we're talking about games that, in your opinion, everybody should play, but probably you've never heard about it before. So kind of go deep into the well to look for some of these games. What games do you think people should play that they probably haven't ever heard about? Really looking forward to that one. I'm sure CB is going to have quite a list for sure. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I want to remind you that the episodes are produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music that you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemmagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our email is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Alyssa, do you have any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
I do. I am still on my K-drama kick. I feel like I'm gonna be on this kick. Like, it's just a permanent part of me now. Watched a really cute one that's on Disney Plus, and it's very accessible. It's only 4 episodes, and the episodes are between 40 and 55 minutes apiece. It's called Soundtrack Number 1. It's dubbed as well, so you don't have to read subtitles if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about these two friends that have been friends for nearly 20 years. The guy has a crush on the girl. She's clueless. Everyone knows he has a crush on her besides her. And she is a songwriter, and she's trying to write a song about having a crush on someone, but since she's never actually had a crush on anyone that went unrequited, her manager basically or her agent tells her, you don't have experience, we need to hire someone else, and she's convinces him to give her 2 weeks, and she begs her friend to move in with her to help her, because he has an unrequited love, which is her, but she thinks it's some girl named Jennifer from the United States. And the whole time, it's just you're rooting for them to get together, and you're like, why can't he admit his feelings, and why can't she see that he likes her? But then I'm like, wait, I am both of these people, because I will never tell anyone I like them.
You're the person.
And then, also, I don't know when people like me, so I am both of these people. But you're just rooting for them to, get the guts to, tell each other and realize, and it's just such a sweet series. It's nothing too crazy because, again, it's on Disney Plus.
Sure.
And I believe it's a Disney Plus original. But it's so cute and charming, and again, very easy to watch. 4 episodes. You could watch it in one night if you wanted to.
I get frustrated with those kinds of stories because I'm like, just go tell him. Just go tell him.
Yeah, I was like, in my heart, I'm like, tell her. And I'm like, girl, realize he likes you because everyone else knows it besides you. But then I'm like, wait, I am both of these people. I can't be judgy because I would be in the same situation in either of their shoes. It was just something I really enjoyed watching.
Very cool. I got a music recommendation. I think you usually like my music recommendations.
I do.
If I remember right. So I'm going to recommend a band that I've not seen live. But
okay.
Last night, I had to go to DJ a homecoming dance, and unfortunately, because I had to do that homecoming dance, I was not able to meet Kevin in Janesville to see a band I like a lot called Caroline Spine. Not sure if you've ever heard of them.
I haven't.
They were big in the 90s. They actually had a song on the Varsity Blue soundtrack called Varsity Blue, which is not on any streaming platform for some reason. All their other albums are, but that one song isn't. Anyway, I really want to go see the show, and I couldn't, because I had to go to this. So Kevin is texting me from the club, and he's telling me about the opening bands, and he's like, you got to check out this one band that opened for him. And I listened to it on the way home last night. The band is called Unchained, And he said to me, if you like 311, you would need to check out this band. And I do like 311. So I checked it out last night, and I would highly recommend it. They're from Springfield, Illinois. I've never heard of them before. They're really solid. The song I would recommend checking out is called You Can Take It. That was the one that stood out to me the most. It's the top song on there, but I was really digging the vibe of what I listened to on the way home as well. So check out Unchained if you get a chance. It looks like I'm looking them up right now. They only have 20 followers on
wow.
Amazon Music, so they must be a pretty small band, but I really dug them. And then also, I was listening to some other music on the way home last night, kind of going to some things that I listened to in the 90s, and realized that one of my favorite bands from the 90s released an album last year, and I did not realize it until last night. And you might make fun of me for liking this band, but I really liked Collective Soul when I was a kid. And they have a brand new album, and I would recommend listening to the first 3 tracks. The first 3 tracks are great. The rest of it's not terrible, but it's not my favorite. So if you like
Hey, I'll
Collective
check
Soul,
it out. I like that one song that they play on the radio. I can't remember the name of it. They had, like, when I was a kid, they would play one of Collective Soul's songs on the radio, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the title.
I mean, there was Run was the big one in the 90s that was on Varsity Blues. Heavy was another one, but I imagine that's not the one. I don't know. Was it Heaven Let Your Light Shine Down?
Yes,
Whoa.
yes. Yeah, that one.
That was probably their biggest hit, but so yeah, Collective Soul had a new album in 2022. I had no idea. So anyway, that was a lot of fun, Alyssa. We did it.
It was
Just the two of us. We put together a show. No, we can do it without Zach and CB.
Yeah.
We'll just make this Scott Clark and Alyssa White and the Gaming Outsider. How about that?
Oh, I get double billing.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm up for it.
Well, until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Alyssa White, and we are the Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.